Hello and welcome back. Today is the first day when I'm actually testing the suspension from SESTAMARCIA, which I received 1 week ago. As you know already from my channel, 1 week ago I received from SESTAMARCIA a suspension upgrade for my Honda Transalp 750. The people from SESTAMARCIA and Marco especially contacted me a few months ago, and they offered two types of suspension combination, so to speak. There is a standard suspension and there is a racing or a race suspension. First, they offered me the standard suspension, and I said, okay, for the racing I need to pay an extra 200 euros to receive the racing suspension. And I said, okay, I'm gonna pay the extra 200 euros in order to receive the racing suspension. What actually means racing suspension? In both cases, we're speaking about Andreani springs and Andreani cartridge for the front and Öhlins shock for the rear. And basically this is the combination. What makes it different? It's the purpose of riding. If you have a more off-road orientated purpose, then you might choose the racing, which I chosen for my off-road trainings. If you are more like a street orientated person and you're gonna use the bike more on the street, you're gonna have the standard suspension. We're gonna get in detail with both options very soon in separate videos, because I would like to split this information in order to be as clear as possible. In this video, it's the first time when I'm actually testing my suspension. We're speaking about an Andreani off-road cartridge for the front with a plus 30 millimeters of travel. What is actually, you will see total suspension travel of 228 millimeters. This is the maximum suspension travel. I'm gonna explain you when I'm gonna make the detailed video. I have a racing or a race orientated suspension with Andreani higher suspension travel for the front, and Öhlins. I have an Öhlins dedicated spring for off-road, a dedicated shock and spring for the off-road riding, with a plus 7 millimeter suspension travel. So in total we have about 197 millimeter suspension travel for the rear and 228 for the front. But the travel is not what actually, it's everything that matters, the travel. No, it's the way it's working. And I would like to test this suspension today on a, let's say, casual road or a normal off-road, not so difficult. For my riding skills, I would like to push it a little bit here and there, just to see and make a first feedback. There will be multiple videos when I'm gonna detail everything about the front, the rear suspension. Everything will be detailed, everything will be explained, but I need to structure those videos in order for the information to be as clear and precise as possible. So this video will be like a first feedback, like a first input of this amazing racing suspension which I received from SESTAMARCIA. I will give it a try. I will give you an honest feedback. I will give you also some cons regarding this suspension, or some things which are coming at the package with this type of suspension. And you need to have as clear as possible image. I would like to provide you an feedback as clear as possible, or as let's say as explicit as possible, in order to have a proper idea and to make your own decisions. So how did it work actually? After speaking with the guys from SESTAMARCIA, I took off my original pipes, my original suspension, and sent it completely to SESTAMARCIA. SESTAMARCIA mounted, Marco from SESTAMARCIA mounted the cartridge inside, the Andreani cartridge, the off-road rally cartridge, to be more precise. They mounted it, and they sent me back the mounted new suspension from Andreani with a full adjustable rebound, compression and preload, and the old springs which they put in a box. You saw already the unboxing video, which is on my channel since 1 week, and together with the front suspension Andreani off-road cartridge, they send me the Öhlins rear shock. They use a 95 Newton meters spring and dedicated shock from Öhlins, which I'm gonna detail about it in a separate video. About the delivery, everything went just perfect with the DHL, about 5-7 days to send it and another 3-5 days to receive it. It was pretty fast and everything was packed perfectly. So everything was mounted back on the bike. The racing suspension, it's mounted now on the bike. And today is the first day when I'm actually testing it on some off-roads. And this is the first video, the first feedback which I'm gonna send you. The next videos will be more detailed about the suspension, about how everything works, about the numbers and technical information. But now we're gonna focus more on the feeling of suspension, how the suspension it's actually working, and what is my first feedback. Before we go riding, let's check it out for a bit. So we have a full adjustment here on the fork, rebound, compression and preload. Everything was adjusted for me for my weight. I'm 85 kilos plus equipment, about 95 kilos, and I'm riding without a passenger and I need an off-road setting. Marco already adjusted the suspension for my weight. Everything it's pre-adjusted. I don't need to do nothing, just to ride it. And if I need another adjustment, then I can do it. This is from here we can change the compression, we can adjust the compression, the rebound from the left. Yes, we have the preload, which we can adjust for the fork. The same will be for the rear. This is the racing shock, and the spring was modified, was placed a 95 Newton meter spring for my off-roading, and this is the spring. This is how it looks on the bike. Of course, we have full adjustments also for this one. Rebound, compression, preload, everything is adjustable. From here we can have access to the adjustments. You can see everything looks absolutely amazing on this bike. This is the top of the line suspension for this bike. I mean, this is basically maximum from Andreani and Öhlins what you can put on this bike in terms of racing suspension. This is top, absolutely, especially for the rear. The rear is just amazing. After I've mounted the suspension and get on the bike, the first thing I've noticed is that the bike it's much taller. I mean, I think at least with 3 centimeters. It's even taller than the standard Africa Twin. So I'm touching with my toes if I'm trying to place both feet on the ground. Well, now the bike it's a little bit taller. Just to keep in mind, I'm 1.8 meters height, about 6 foot, and yes, I'm a little bit at the limit with touching the ground. Keep in mind that I have a custom-made comfort seat from Oficina delle Toppe, which is already higher with 1 centimeter. So I've already started to make by making the seat higher with 1 centimeter. Now I have the suspension, which is at least 3 centimeters higher. I will be very curious to measure the ground clearance now, but the bike it's very high now. But you know, you cannot have everything. You need to make a compromise here and there. There are some solutions, maybe to lower the seat or to who knows, maybe readjust the suspension. But now I would like to ride for the first time off-road with this with this suspension and give you a proper feedback. Even the center stand now, it's what can I say, it's almost useless, because when you put the bike on a center stand, the rear wheel doesn't even goes up from the ground. You need to somehow I need a higher center stand. The adventure bikes, from what I know, they have an original OEM center stand that it's they have the version of higher center stands. I need to check it out. Maybe if you know better, just leave a comment in the comment section. So either I modify the center stand by adding some metal on the touching surface, or I change completely the center stand with a higher one. But however, I'm having the side stand extender, which helps a lot, which somehow makes it a little bit higher. But now the bike, man, the bike now, it's a different bike. Let me show you. Now the bike, it's totally different. I mean, when you just look at it, it's much higher positioned. It's quite tall. I'm telling you, it's I'm gonna compare it very soon. It's even taller than an Africa Twin, a standard one. And it looks a little bit more intimidating, so to speak. It's quite high now with this suspension. But you know, sometimes you need to make a decision. Racing suspension versus, you know, some other factors. But now, enough talking, it's time to test for the first time the suspension. I would have liked to have real-time audio, but my external microphone decided not to work. Right from the start, you realize that you're already dealing with another motorcycle. You can feel how the suspension works very smoothly, both front and rear. With the OEM standard suspension from Honda, I received a lot of shocks in the handlebars. It had a defective rebound, but here we can't even talk about something like that with a suspension meticulously prepared by Marco from SESTAMARCIA. The motorcycle feels very stable, controllable, and extremely comfortable. We are on a place where the road is almost completely destroyed, full of small pits and stones, and there is a little mud underneath. I'm trying to figure out the clear differences between the two suspensions, the original Honda and this competition one. Even if I'm not too advanced in off-road riding, I somehow manage now to take turns quite easily and with confidence. The general feeling is that the motorcycle is much friendlier to me, much gentle in terms of maneuverability. I like how it absorbs at above average speeds for this surface the potholes and stones of the road. I still try to ride within the limit of my skill level, but it's very difficult because this suspension makes you pull the throttle. You feel like you can do more. And you can really do more. This suspension helps you enormously. The difference is really big. To be honest, I haven't expected to realize the differences so quickly, especially since I'm not a professional rider. But you can feel the differences from the first kilometers ridden, even if you're not a professional rider. I am on some forest roads with different surfaces, which include gravel, mud underneath, broken asphalt, and sand. We are in a logging area and a stone quarry area. I know these roads quite well, and I was here as soon as I bought the motorcycle last year, but I was here even with my Honda NC750X. You can see the videos in the off-road playlist. And I can say with certainty that I have the feeling that I can fly on these roads at much higher speeds than before and with much more confidence. The confidence also comes from the training carried out throughout this past period, but with certainty this suspension amplifies my feeling of confidence and makes me approach these road segments much more relaxed.
I must also mention the fact that I have the feeling that off-road riding does not exhaust me that much. The response of the suspension is very uniform, predictable, smooth, progressive, gentle, but also fast at the same time. The suspension reacts immediately depending on the surface and takes all bumps very well. I have to tell you from the start that this is the competition suspension. It is created to face the toughest challenges, and here I am testing it on an extremely easy road for its capabilities. Only by going and testing more and more, I can provide the most relevant feedback. My intention is to give you a long-term feedback, not something short. This is only my first contact with this wonderful suspension. I have attached the camera so you can see how the front suspension fork works and get an idea. I also want to talk about the all-in shock absorber on the rear. It works, I can say, phenomenally, in the sense that I can sit on the saddle at relatively high speeds and feel safe and comfortable. This shock absorber from All-ins was custom made by Marco from SESTAMARCIA for my weight and for the off-road riding style. You too can create your own shock absorber according to your riding needs. I have, for example, a 95 Nm spring and a race competition damper. I will return in a separate video with all the technical details about this suspension. As a general conclusion, after the first ride with the new competition suspension created for me by SESTAMARCIA, I can tell you that I gain more confidence in the new motorcycle. In my riding style, I feel much more confident to approach new off-road section, and I look forward to riding as much as possible and to come back with new impressions. I also want to talk about how this suspension feels on the road. Even if the suspension is built and set for off-road riding, I can say that the on-road experience has significantly improved. Let me explain. In addition to stability and maneuverability, the motorcycle has become extremely comfortable on asphalt. I'm also happy that when I brake hard, the front suspension does not sink much. It is very well balanced and calibrated. That's why the suspension settings are extremely important. It's essential that they are done by specialized personnel. In my case, Marco from SESTAMARCIA, I can say that he set up the suspension absolutely perfectly for me, right out of the box. I can take turns very easily. The handling and dynamics of the motorcycle has been improved.
Oh, this is I don't know where to start from. So this suspension gives you confidence, gives you more stability. It makes the bike more stable. It gives you confidence. It gives you comfort, definitely. And you have the feeling that you can control the bike much easier on the turns. I mean off-road, but in the same time on-road. You have the feeling that you have more confidence. You feel the need to twist the throttle in some moments, in most of the moments, as you saw already. So yeah, it's a different experience. It's a different experience for someone, and I highly recommend to try it, to try to see the difference. The difference is huge. Indeed, I cannot compare it, because the difference, it's from a racing car to a normal standard car, from a standard motorcycle with a standard suspension to a race racing motorcycles. My only complaint regarding the standard was about the rebound. I mean, on-road, off-road, the continuous rebound, the continuous feedback which I received from the handlebar already was quite annoying for me, although I was not riding very fast. The standard suspension, it's good. The stock suspension, so to speak, from Transalp, it's quite okay, but it's a huge difference with this racing suspension and even with the standard, because SESTAMARCIA has to offer standard suspension, the same combination of Andreani and Öhlins, but they have this racing which I've mounted on my bike, a custom made racing suspension for my Honda Transalp and for my off-road trainings. So yes, a huge difference on road, off road, and it's coming from this feedback. It's coming from me as a casual beginner off-road rider. I'm not a professional. I'm not a specialized off-road rider, but I'm a person who rides the bike off-road, and I would like to somehow gain more confidence by riding off-road, and surprisingly this suspension gave me more confidence, because the feedback which I receive on the handlebar, the response of the suspension, the way it's working, gave me confidence. The bike, I felt it more stable, more controllable, and I could ride much faster than before with confidence and with the trusting that I will able to stay and stick to the road somehow. I'm gonna ride next week different terrain, a different soil, different environment, and I will continue to give you feedback. Meanwhile, I will make a separate video, detailed video, more technical video, in which I'm gonna explain your options regarding the SESTAMARCIA suspension. This will be a detailed, more technical video in which we're gonna discuss about what could be your options regarding this suspension. Of course, as much as I'm gonna ride in the future, I will hopefully discover what exactly are my perfect settings. Therefore, I don't even know, or how to say, I'm not able at this moment to realize what I actually need in terms of suspension adjustment. This suspension was already adjusted for me, but I need to ride it more and more and take different terrains to notice, or to be able to notice, what type of adjustment do I need. Is this perfect as it is right now? Do I need to adjust it more, or to adjust the rebound, the compression? I need to ride it more and more, and somehow to improve my skills. And at some point I might say I need to adjust the rebound, the compression. These adjustments need to be made if you have a specific feedback from the bike, but we're gonna discuss about these adjustments in the next videos. Even though the future technical videos regarding the suspension will come up very soon, until then I'm open to answer to your questions, even technical questions I'm prepared to answer, because Marco from SESTAMARCIA has updated me with everything which you could possibly ask. So he's the specialist, and we are communicating, and I will be able to answer to most of your questions, including the technical ones. I can respond either on my email, you have it in the video description. You have the contact from SESTAMARCIA if you have any further questions. Until next time, bye bye.